Thank you, Maja. So as Maja said, I'm currently working at CNRS in the laboratory Progedo in charge of the communication, and I'm also documenting data at the National Archive of Data from Official Statistics, who is a service of Progedo. So I'll present today the documentation processes at EDDI in the context of the FAIR principles and standard metadata. As I was saying, EDDI is a part of Progedo in the data dissemination component. There are 3 other partners associated in the laboratory, named Ketley Progedo Diffusion. There is the French Institute for Demographic Study. Ariana and Jolie talked about it just earlier. There is the Center for Sociopolitical Data and the Secure Access Data Center. There is also a national production component with international studies, such as the European Social Survey. There is SHARE and GGP2. Progedo is part of CESDA France, and at a local level, Progedo created and coordinates the University Data Platform, who are in direct contact with the campus, and the University Data Platform missions are to communicate about Ketley Progedo Diffusion, the data, and to inform also and to assist users. So EDDI has the goal to develop the use of data in social sciences while disseminating surveys and databases produced by official statistics. This goes through 4 daily missions. The first one is to collect and preserve data, both recent and old, to constitute a thematic catalog. EDDI also document data in DDI standards. We receive from the producer the questionnaire, the dictionary codes, and other useful documents, which we complete on the one hand by writing a descriptive sheet of the survey, and on the other hand by documenting the data files up to a variable level. Both descriptions are made according to an international documentation standard called, as you all know, DDI. We also disseminate the data to the scientific community via the common application app with the CDSP and EDDI, and we also assist and advise users on the use of data, and also the access to the data is free of charge, and it's only the researchers, engineers, the PhD students, and students who are allowed to access the data. So there is more than 30 producers who are partner and disseminate their data through the National Archive of Data from Official Statistics. All are institutional organisms, mostly statistics departments from ministry, and more than 50% of our data are provided by the French National Institute INSEE. Obviously, this allows large diversity of the data disseminated. We have around 200 sources, which bring around 1,500 references. It's only quantitative data, it's study and or administrative data from the 19th century to this year, and it's individual or aggregated data. So what about the documentation? When a producer wants to transmit a new reference, he sends us the data and the documentation via a secured email protected by a password. So that's the first step. We collect data. Then you need to be sure that the data are well prepared. So at EDDI, we tend to proceed to a verification after archiving the data on a secured disk. So we proceed to a verification. Is there a missing data, inconsistencies, or else is the dictionary code having all the variables, etc., etc. Only now we'll be able to document the data and to add metadata. For that, we are currently using Nesta Publisher and producing an XML file. As you can see, we're not using the last version of DDI, but it's a work in progress. Since we do not have an IT team, it's a bit difficult to adjust quickly our processes, but we're providing DDI standard 2.1 and selected around 80 fields under the 270 available, actually.
You're not sharing your presentation, so I don't know if you were planning to do so or no.
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought it was.
You have to share screen. Sorry. No, it's fine. It's just maybe you can just go back quickly to share the slides that we see.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's fine.
So that's the presentation of Progedo and the goals and missions. So I was saying collect and preserve and document, disseminate, advise users, the producers. I'm really sorry. I thought I did it. So the documentation on NISTA, and I was here. The documentation processes on 2 levels. So our main activity is to documenting data produced by the official statistics. We aim at disseminate the detailed description of data, but we're also publishing a general description of them when time is missing. So it's on 2 levels. We can only publish the metadata with the descriptive instruction, such as the abstract, the producer, the universe, the geography, etc., etc. But we aim to provide more detailed documentation thanks to NISTA WebView. Indeed, on NISTA WebView, as you all know, you can visualize some basic statistics, and you'll be able to see if this study can be used in your project. So, sorry. Yeah, it's a lot of work, as Julie Lenoir said before, because you have to add all the question and modality and the filters by hand on NISTA publisher. So if you have, I don't know, 4 databases with more or less than 8,800 variables in it, it's a lot of pages and a lot of time to do it. So the XML file generated by NISTA allows us to publish the data and metadata, and it's directly uploaded on our website. So what DDI can do for you, metadata allows understand data, metadata can put the pieces together. So you can see it on this metaphor. You have all the ingredients at the left, and it's putting pieces together, so you can understand the data thanks to the metadata. EDDI is providing data for more than 20 years and more thorough over the years. So first step is reusing data is to find them. So metadata should be easy to find for both human and computer. So at EDDI, we provide rich metadata on every study or data set. In fact, every variable in the data are included in the metadata, and they are registered or indexed in a searchable resource, such as for Quelques Projets de Diffusion, the question bank, and the social science data search tool. I will be able to put the link after the presentation if you want. NISTA publication allows an automatic feed on of the XML file on EDDI's website and at this NISTA WebView platform. It's also harvested in the social science browser named EDDI. We manually feed the question bank and the social science data search tool using the XML notice produced thanks to NISTA and DDI. So how can we provide access? The protocol to access data at EDDI is open, free, and universally implemented. The metadata are accessible even when the data are no longer. There is different level of access. I'll present them in the next slide. And we have a command application, and user needs to create an account with their institutional email and a description of their project to access data. Actually, we are working on a more user-friendly portal to access data. So more detail on the file types and access. So there is confidential data. We are not providing them at Progedo. We are providing standard data. It's public use files, it's anonymized, aggregated variables, and it's open data dissemination. We also have two types of pseudonymized data at EDDI2021, the research and production files, and the pseudonymized research data. It's the same as research and production files, but for researchers' data. But because we are now accepting the deposit from researchers at EDDI2021. So what about the interoperability? There is controlled vocabularies on each references, and the work in progress at EDDI2021, it's and more larger in Progedo, is to add a digital object identifier to every data set and study. For the moment, we are using, it's on the next slide. I'm sorry, I lost it when I saw my PowerPoint wasn't big. As you can see on this study, it's two different studies. The panel d'élèves du second degré, I'm sorry, it's in French, and the base centrale scolarité. So we are using keywords, the same keywords. So if you're, I don't know, like Julie pointed out earlier, you can search in the question bank with the word scolarity. You will be able to find all the both reference. We tend to use the European control vocabularies and translation of metadata in English. It's a work in progress at EDDI2021. I'm sorry. So in reusing data, we have a citation model for the use of the data. You can see an example here. If a researcher or a student is publishing a paper or a study by using a reference from EDDI2021, he has to cite the data used with this example. So metadata and data, while describing DTI, they can be replicated and or combined in different settings. Actually, we're using an internal persistent identifier. As you can see here, it's Lille 1416. And the work in progress at EDDI2021, and more larger is Progedo, is to add a digital object identifier to every data set and study that will allow to harvest in the Open Archive HAL the reuse done with the data thanks to this digital object identifier. So to conclude, you saw it, there is still a lot to do for us at EDDI2021, but we are glad to provide fair data for over 20 years, and we are working on disseminate fairer and fairer data over the year. But of course, if you have any idea to help us, don't hesitate. And also, if you have any question, I will be glad to answer them. So thank